Welcome in, everybody. Forget what you think you know about justice. Welcome to the Virtual Juror, where snark is reality, but evidence is royalty. Where at first we look at the FACS, or facts and conjecture shared, before we get into the real stuff. Court began in a dramatic pantomime, as the audio was apparently on a brief, unexcused absence. When sound finally graced the proceeding, we were dropped mid-sentence into the defense's bold strategy, arguing that the jury instructions were simply too confusing. Their primary grievance was the language defining intent for second-degree M and manslaughter. You know, the very words that distinguish those charges from first-degree M. But why let pesky legal distinctions get in the way of a good argument? As is tradition, the judge turned to the prosecution for their thoughts. The state, in a masterclass of brevity, basically responded, "Your Honor, these are the standard, off-the-rack instructions." Unmoved, the defense doubled down after the judge reread the text, insisting the final two sentences about the lesser charges had to go. The judge, bless his heart, repeated that they were the standard instructions. This led to a spectacular plot twist. In a stunning, "fine, I'll take my ball and go home" moment, the defense then requested to have the lesser charges thrown out altogether. After a quick, hushed powwow at their table, the prosecution called their bluff by agreeing to it. And just like that, the confusing charges vanished from the menu. In the nearly final installment of the Adelson family saga, the prosecution delivered a closing argument that could be titled "The Matriarchal Mastermind and the Martyr Professor." They meticulously laid out the case against Donna Adelson, the alleged puppet master, who, with her rigid and fixed ideas, pulled the strings of a grand conspiracy. The victim, Dan Markel, was not just a loving father, but according to the prosecution, a pain in the butt to the Adelson clan because he dared to stand up to them. This is the tale of how a divorce became a full-blown war, with Donna allegedly micromanaging every aspect of her daughter's life and using her son Charlie as her go-to guy to get it done. When legal avenues failed to secure victory, the prosecution claims Donna found other options. Enter Operation TV Repair, a seemingly mundane errand that in this narrative became a coded alibi for an M plot. The prosecution also systematically pointed out Donna's total lack of interest in who killed her son-in-law, her conveniently concocted extortion story, and her post-conviction vacation to a non-extradition country. The smoking gun? The revelation that Donna personally signed 44 checks to the accomplice who hired the hitman. The prosecutor concluded that Donna Adelson was the original code talker, a mastermind who meticulously planned an M to insulate herself from the consequences, proving that when you cross a determined matriarch, you might just lose your life. In a closing argument that could be titled "The Meddling Matriarch," the defense attorney, Miss Fulford, delivered her spirited, if not slightly chaotic, closing argument that was less of a defense and more of a theatrical performance, claiming the state's case was all theory and bluff, a legal fantasy with no substance. She deftly painted a picture of a misunderstood grandmother, who, despite her inability to control her mouth, was just a meddling mother-in-law, not her mastermind, while literally pounding the lectern. The defense tried to use one of the killer's testimonies to suggest Donna Adelson was blissfully uninvolved. As for the grandmother motion and angry emails, the defense waved them away, calling them a flimsy basis for an M charge and just the natural result of an overly involved mother. They argued that Donna's frantic phone call after the M was the genuine shock of a concerned parent, not the performance of a co-conspirator. As for the infamous bump operation, where an undercover agent tried to bait her, the defense spun it as an innocent-sounding attempt to get to the bottom of a prior extortion plot, rather than a nervous reaction from a guilty party. But then, like a legal eagle swooping in for the kill, the state's attorney took the stage for her rebuttal, with a healthy dose of wit and sarcasm. She wasn't buying any of the defense's tall tales. She challenged the jury to see past the defense's innocent grandma routine and look at the totality of the evidence. She mocked the defense's spin, telling the jury to ignore the lawyers and look at the powdered sugar of evidence. A death by 1,000 cuts. Dismissing the defense's extortion theory as a laughable lie, pointing out that if it were true, Donna would have mentioned it to the undercover agent. She strategically pointed out Donna's series of mistakes, like writing checks from her son's business account. Because, a family crime syndicate needs to keep its bookkeeping in order. Talking in code on the phone, because who doesn't love a good mystery? And most damningly, her alleged plan for a one-way ticket to Vietnam, to escape justice. She then delivered a final devastating blow, reading from Donna's own emails, where she callously dismissed her grandson's sadness over his father's death, claiming he does not even have a memory of life before age 5 or 6. The state's case essentially boiled down to this. Donna was the original code talker, and despite her innocent appearance, Donna Adelson wanted Dan Markel dead. And she got what she wanted, leaving a trail of destruction with catastrophic consequences for everyone involved, especially the 2 boys who lost their father. Well, that's all we have for this witness. So as always, love your family, love your pets, love your neighbors, and we'll see you next time.